PresSpeaks.
Hello, my name is Paul Pesley, and we're here. You're on my new show called PresSpeaks. I'm Press, and I'm speaking. My name is Paul Pesley, like I said. I usually do on Spreaker, I do a music program where I spin some plastic. That's bull. I don't spin any plastic. I have CDs. I make MP3s out of them, and I play them for you. But I love country music, and that's what I like to do. But I got in a situation with a man named Albert Lewis. I believe in 2010, we went on, I was invited to be on the show. One of three. It was Deidre Johnson, Albert Lewis, Deidre Johnson, myself, Paul Pesley. I co-hosted and produced the show. And we were on WGBB in Babylon and WWRL in the city, in New York City. And it was great. I had fun, and I love it. I'm trying to improve as I go the way I'm doing things. So what I found out when I did it myself, I'm the pro host on Blog Talk Radio. I had a show up there. I haven't done one in a while on Blog Talk Radio either. But I found out when I try to do a lot on one subject, I tend to get too much material, and then I get lost. So what I'm doing now is I'm cutting everything down to size. Okay. Everybody's done Syria, everybody's done the budget, everybody's doing the website, everybody's doing everything. But I found a couple of short clips that kind of puts everything into perspective, but like quickly, so you can kind of get a little idea of what's going on, because a lot of people are just a little, basically a little stupid about politics. Like me, I'm pretty stupid about politics too. I have a story. When they had the election, when Obama was first running, I had never voted before. I'm 62 years young. Years young. Remember that. And I never voted. But I swore that if a woman ever ran for president, then I would vote. What happened? Hillary was in the running. Okay, and I said, damn, I got to vote now. And so that fell through, and I figured, let me vote on Obama, because I wasn't too sure about any of the candidates on the second election. So I did, But I don't think I'm going to vote for anybody anymore. Anyway, you got the Republicans, the Democrats, you got the Tea Party people. Now, to me, you got the Republicans. It's all about money. In my opinion, it's all about money, all about saving money, cutting money, whatever. It's all about, when it comes to money, M-O-N-E-Y, money, that's Republicans in my opinion. The Democrats, you hear the Democrats are in all kinds of troubles. They're with hookers, they're in strip bars, they're roaming the streets looking for whatever. I mean, I don't know. There's something always wrong with the Democrat. Now, Tea Party. When I think of Tea Party, I think of the Boston Tea Party, of course, like everybody does. And, here's my opinion with the Tea Party and the Democrats, Republicans. You got the Republicans, Democrats, and I figured out why the Tea Party's there. The Tea Party, they're there just to cater for the Republicans and the Democrats. That's all they do. They cater, because I don't see what they do. I mean, maybe they got tea and crumpets, maybe a little filet mignon if you want to have a snack. I don't know what the hell's going on with those guys. But anyway, okay, we're going to talk about a couple of things today. First thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about Syria. I found a clip of people talking about Syria and reporters asking them, who do you think did it? Who do you think was at fault? So I've got that clip I'm going to play for you. And then after that, I'm going to play a clip that has to do with Saddam Hussein. I found out, I think it was in 1980-something or 70-something, I'm not sure, but I'm going to play the clip, and it'll tell you the exact date, that the U.S. helped Saddam Hussein with chemical warfare. You might find this very interesting, too. I couldn't believe that. So I got that I'm going to play for you. Then we're going to talk about the budget. I have a clip where Obama is going to explain the budget to you. I'll let you know what reason the budget was held up for. What was the reason? He's going to explain to you about the budget. Okay. Then after he explains to you about the budget, I got two clips. Another one is about the budget, but they're going to explain to you why the budget problem was not about the deficit. Okay, he explained that to you. He said that's not the problem. He says even the Republicans and Boehner and everybody says that that's not the problem. The deficit has been dropping. But then we're going to put another part of that in perspective with a separate clip, and it's going to be I'm going to talk about the website, and then I'm going to talk to you about health care. I'm going to talk to you, that explains the reason why the website and healthcare and everything was held up, why we had to go through this wait that we went through. And that's what we're going to talk about today on my show, and it's called PresSpeaks. We'll be right back.
And what we do know is about a couple months ago in May, we found the same weapons, the same chemicals from al-Nusra Front, the rebel group that we are supporting by bombing them.
Do you believe Assad was responsible for the chemical attack?
I don't know who's actually responsible. Neither does anyone else at this point.
What I'm reading does not have clear proof that that is true. There's question about which side is it. There's question about how official it was. Yesterday, I read something from an AP reporter who claims to have heard that the rebels had someone who was not authorized, but by mistake unleashed chemical weapons.
And that's the people speaking out about Syria, because they're not really too sure what's going on either. And if you stop to think about it, I don't know. Chemical weapons, man, it doesn't fascinate me to hear that there could be criminal warfare and chemical warfare and all kinds of however they're going to do it. I don't know. It's either chemical or criminal. I don't know what the hell's going on. I get I get kind of nervous about talking about stuff like that. But what got me is when I found this clip about the U.S. that is supposed to have helped in chemical warfare with Saddam Hussein.
And while the U.S. considers actions in Syria in the wake of evidence suggesting the use of chemical weapons, a startling new revelation from Foreign Policy magazine shows that the U.S. played a role in helping Saddam Hussein use sarin gas to defeat Iranian troops back in 1988. Here's how. According to declassified CIA documents that were discovered at the National Archives, using satellite images, U.S. intelligence officials conveyed the location of the Iranian troops to Iraq, fully aware that Hussein's military would attack with chemical weapons, including sarin, a lethal nerve agent. And it gets worse. According to those same declassified CIA documents, senior U.S. officials were being regularly informed about the scale of the nerve gas attacks. They are tantamount to an official American admission of complicity in some of the most gruesome chemical weapons attacks ever launched.
So, there you go right there. It's talking about the U.S. knowing and pinpointing all the locations for them. So they according to that, it says that the U.S. pretty much knew that they were going to use sarin gas, and they were going to, do their worst to stop these people somehow. So we've got this other weirdo. He's talking about that the U.S. didn't do anything. But, there's even records that they found. This is based on records that they found that the U.S. did this. So what they do, just the records are just laying around. Somebody sat around one day and started typing or whatever and said, let's just put this down on paper and we'll throw it in a file. Maybe somebody will find it later and accuse the U.S. of a lot of bullshit. I have no idea, but here we go.
Here to talk about this bombshell revelation is Jamal Abdi. He's the policy director at the National Iranian American Council. Thank you so much for joining me. So how shocking are these revelations? Did Iranians suspect this before?
I think there was a pretty widespread perception that the U.S. was definitely involved in coordinating with Iraq in supporting Saddam in terms of providing intelligence and things like that. This is something that was fairly widely known, that this had begun at least towards the end of the Iran-Iraq war. To now see, though, that sort of this feigned ignorance on the U.S. side about the fact that Saddam was using chemical weapons, that this is actually, not true. The U.S. knew well what Saddam was doing. According to the report, top officials were well aware that Saddam planned to use chemical weapons in those particular instances in which the U.S. was providing intelligence for Iraqi strikes. So I think that any sort of veneer of ignorance about the use of chemical weapons has sort of been dispelled by this report.
So, you use your own judgment. Did they do it or didn't they do it? It seems like to me they're saying that they did do it, and everybody knew they were doing it. So if they did do it and they were doing it, I think they were doing it. Basically, I don't know. So you have to use your own judgment when you listen to that one. I'm gonna get off that for now anyway. That's just something that I found. But you know what? I think that are you happy with the type of president that we have? I think we need a president that's got a little cojones, don't you think? Well, I got a clip here of what I think would be the best president. This has to do with the movie Air Force One, Harrison Ford, and this is a speech that he gave after they arrested the Russians, had somebody they were trying to free and get him out of prison, and so they took Air Force One hostage. So I think this is the type of president we should have.
I came here tonight to be congratulated. But today when I visited the Red Cross camps, overwhelmed by the flood of refugees fleeing from the horror of Kazakhstan, I realized I don't deserve to be congratulated. None of us do.
What's he doing?
Let's be clear.
That's not the speech.
The truth is, we acted too late. Only when our own national security was threatened did we act. Radek's regime murdered over 200,000 men, women, and children, and we watched it on TV. We let it happen. People were being slaughtered for over a year. We issued economic sanctions and hid behind a rhetoric of diplomacy. How dare we? The dead remembered. Real peace is not just the absence of conflict, it's the presence of justice. And tonight I come to you with a pledge to change America's policy. Never again will I allow our political self-interest to deter us from doing what we know to be morally right. Atrocity and terror are not political weapons, and to those who would use them, your day is over. We will never negotiate. We will no longer tolerate it. We will no longer be afraid. It's your turn to be afraid.
Okay, there you go. That's what, isn't that basically what we're hiding behind now with Syria? And not only that, but a lot of our problems too. We've got all these sanctions and all these rules and all these things. Republicans got to pass it, but they won't because they're scared that the Democrats are going to pass something that's, I don't know. Why can't just everybody get together and just pass a damn bill, make the economy better for both of us? Because you know what's going to happen. This whole economy, we're going to have to pay for it. Everything that they're screwing up on, we're eventually going to have to pay for it in our taxes, or some way they're going to screw us out of it. And you know, why should we have to suffer because they're stupid and ignorant and they don't know what the hell they're doing? That I don't understand, but I guess I'm not supposed to. You know what? We'll be right back. Okay, we got the budget coming up, and we're going to talk about the budget. First, I'm going to play this clip here about Obama explaining the budget. For people that don't know what's going on with the budget, like I'm not really too sure about what's going on, well, here's Obama telling you when it all started about the budget.
Now, I want everybody to understand what's happened, because sometimes when this gets reported on, everybody kind of thinks, well, you know, both sides are just squabbling. Democrats and Republicans, they're always arguing. So, you know, neither side's behaving properly. I want everybody to understand what's happened here. The Republicans passed a temporary budget for 2 months at a funding level that we as Democrats actually think is way too low, because we're not providing help for more small businesses, doing more for early childhood education, doing more to rebuild our infrastructure. But we said, okay, while we're still trying to figure out this budget, we're prepared to go ahead and take the Republican budget levels that they propose.